Hey, how's it going, you guys? It's Murray here. Are you enjoying this early taste of spring? I know I am. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love snow and skiing and sledding and all the other activities that come with it, but I am really done with this winter and I'm very happy to finally have some warm weather and to get a taste of what spring's going to be like. Now, I've got another reason for not liking winter so much, and it has nothing to do with the snow. It's actually got to do with my skin. One sec. These lights are. And can you guys see? You can see a little bit. Did you see that little red splotch on my hand? That's all that's left of my eczema. Eczema is a skin condition that I was born with, and many other people have it. It doesn't hurt, but during the winter when it's really dry out, my skin tends to break out in those little red splotches, especially on my left hand. It's not really a big deal and it doesn't affect my life at all. It's just a funny little thing that happens. It's kind of like my winter radar. I always know when winter's about to hit. Do you have a skin condition like mine? Lots of people are born with them and most of the time it's just harmless. For example, some people break out in hives from allergies, some people get funny little rashes sometimes, and some people were just born with birthmarks on their skin. It's just little things that make us even more unique. But in Jesus' time, these little differences weren't very well appreciated. You see, back then, people didn't really understand the difference between a skin condition and a skin disease. And they were terrified of diseases. One disease that they were frightened of was leprosy. Leprosy is still around today. It's a bacterial infection that spreads from person to person and actually eats away at your flesh. It's very terrible. Luckily, modern medicine does have a cure for it, so it's not nearly as big a deal now as it was back then. In Jesus' time, though, nobody understood what caused conditions and diseases, and they were really scared of them. The only thing they did understand was that quarantining people, isolating them, was a good way to stop diseases from spreading from person to person. If a person in Jesus' time had funny skin, like my red splotches, then they would have to go to a priest who would examine them and then order them to leave their town until their skin was healed. When the blemish or the mark went away, they were allowed to come back into town, and if the priest gave them the okay, then they could return to normal life. But this way of treating disease led to a lot of superstition. People assumed that if you had marks on your skin or some other internal disease, it was because God was punishing you for some kind of sin. Because of this, if you had a disease or a condition, people wouldn't just see you as contagious, they would see you as actually a bad human being. But Jesus didn't treat people this way. He understood that disease wasn't a punishment from God, but we are expected by God to help take care of sick people or people who have very serious conditions that maybe makes it harder for them to live a regular life. Jesus healed people of all kinds of ailments, like blindness, lameness. He gave people the ability to talk, or he gave them their hearing back. And these people were always considered outcasts of society. People thought that they were this way because God didn't like them as much. And so when Jesus healed people indiscriminately all the time, people became superstitious of him. They thought that maybe he was sinning against God or that the devil had given him his powers. But Jesus did these things to show his disciples, including us today, that we need to help all people. If we're healthy or able-bodied, that's just a power that we have to share with other people who maybe don't have that kind of power. When we do this, we're doing God's work on earth just like Jesus. One really famous story from the Gospel of Luke is about 10 men with leprosy who were healed by Jesus. Now, as I said before, people in ancient times didn't see much difference between a skin condition and a disease. And so anybody with not so perfect skin was lumped together under the term leper. Oh, what is this rash that's all over my body? Oh, it itches so bad. Oh, yeah, Hey, honey, have you noticed this mole on my shoulder before? Egad, I don't know what sin you committed for God to make your skin like this, but don't you dare touch anyone in the village. Go out into the field at least 10 miles away and stay there until you're healed.
Yeah, you tell him, priest.
Hey, has anybody ever noticed how gray this guy's complexion is? One day, Jesus and his disciples were traveling from Galilee down to Jerusalem. The road they were on was on the border between Samaria and Galilee. Now, maybe you remember something about the Samaritans. Even though they were also descended from the Israelites and worshipped God, they and people like Jesus who were Jewish didn't get along very well because they had different religions. But Jesus often talked to Samaritan people and taught them just as much as he taught Jewish people. Jesus and his disciples came across a town. Now, Jesus was already really famous, and the people of this region had already heard that he was coming through. As Jesus and his disciples were approaching a town to get some food, a group of lepers approached them.
Jesus, Master, have mercy on us, please.
I haven't seen my family in 8 months because the priests won't let me back into town. Please heal us, Lord. My skin just won't stop itching.
I keep telling you people, this is just how I look.
Jesus, watch out. Those lepers have been declared unclean by the priests. Make sure you don't touch them or you'll be unclean too.
I know what the high priests have said about these men, but what the priests say is not always what God says. Go back to the priests and show them your skin.
Now the lepers must have been really puzzled by this. They had heard that Jesus was a great miracle worker, and they probably expected a huge sign from him, like lightning from the sky or a booming voice. They probably didn't expect him to just tell them, "Go home, you're fine." But as they ran, their skin began to heal, and miraculously, they became healthy again. Guys, look, it's a miracle! My wounds have healed! Mine too! My skin has finally stopped itching! Oh, sweet, sweet relief!
And I feel less judgy.
The lepers were super happy to get to finally go home, but as they ran, one of them turned around. He was a Samaritan man, and rather than going directly home like the rest of the lepers, he went back to Jesus.
Praise God. My skin is healthy. Thank you for saving me, sir. God is truly with you.
Look at this. Didn't you see me heal 10 men? But only one of them has come back to thank me, and a Samaritan at that. Get up and go home, my friend. Your faith has made you well.
Only one out of the 10 men had thought to thank Jesus for the miracle. And this was a Samaritan, a person who didn't get along with Jewish people. This is just one example of how Jesus broke down barriers between groups of people to show that God's love is for everybody, not just for one select group. It may seem sometimes like the pandemic will never end, but we should remember that even the 10 lepers had to wait a while for Jesus to come and heal them. And we might have to wait a little while for God to end the pandemic, but it will happen. This Sunday at Sunday School, we're going to learn some more about the 10 lepers, and we're going to be visited by Margie Warren, who's an elder and deacon at St. Andrew's. She's also a former nurse, and she's been helping our church navigate the pandemic with her work on the COVID-19 response team. She's going to tell us about good hygiene and how important it is to keep infectious diseases away. And we're going to learn some more about how we can stay safe from the coronavirus. So I can't wait to see all of you this Sunday for that lesson. And in the meantime, I hope you all stay safe, have a good rest of your week, and God bless you. We'll see you all really soon. I'm going to go for a walk today. It's very nice out.